Allahu Akbar.
Assalamu alaikum. What a wonderful theme this is, happiness. It makes me happy just thinking about it. There is promise and invitation in this title. It's a real privilege for me to be here. Thanks to you, Naeem, and to your organizing committee for your kind invitation. I feel gratified that you thought of me. Over the last years, I have attended a number of presentations and several interfaith dinners sponsored by the Muslim Council of Connecticut here at ICNA conventions. I have always enjoyed the atmosphere that one senses immediately upon entry. The families, the children here and there, the different generations, and the energy that comes from the clear delight everyone has in being together. There is great warmth here, even on a cold, rainy day. I am the president of Hartford Seminary here in Hartford, where I also teach Christian ethics and interfaith relations. I bring you fond greetings from Hartford Seminary. We are only a couple of miles away. If you don't know anything about us, you will want to know that we have a major center for the study of Islam and Christian-Muslim relations, work in which we have been involved for at least a century. We have Muslim students in all our programs, with a large number, especially, of course, in our Muslim chaplaincy program. So I invite you to check us out. Happiness, a universal quest, is my theme for the next few minutes. As I said, it is a great theme for us to be exploring together. For in making the claim that happiness is a universal theme, a universal quest, a longing and a dream for each member of the human race, one is also making an assertion that this, therefore, is a theme that we can and should talk about inside our religious communities as Muslims or as Christians, but it's also a theme we can talk about together across our religious differences. For if this is a universal quest, and I have no doubt that it is, then we can know and discuss together the various ways our religious communities have approached the quest and discover, too, what we can learn from each other. First off, a few remarks are necessary to define the kind of happiness that I think this title is referring to. Because, of course, there are many kinds of happiness in this world, and no small number of forces in this society encouraging us to define happiness in one way or another, often so that we will buy their products, follow their leaders, behave or believe as they want us to as part of our search for happiness. Thus, diet companies tell us that we will be happy if we just lose weight. Car companies sell us the idea that happiness comes with the car we drive. Developers tell us it's the house we live in. Retailers, the clothes we wear, or the tools we buy, or the food we consume, and so on. Indeed, researchers tell us that selling many products these days is increasingly not at all based on the use or the quality of the product itself, but rather on the association the product has with some image of happiness that attracts us. Alas, too often what happens is one buys the car, moves into the house, wears the clothes or whatever else, and soon realizes that the happiness it brings passes very quickly, and thus the quest for happiness begins again, this time with another product. And of course, there's a similar dynamic with the promise of many other things in this world. But happiness, as the theme of this meeting, a gathering of Muslims serious about understanding and being guided by their faith, is not a concept that is meant to suggest these subjective feelings of happiness. Rather, we are here talking about something much more profound and deep within us that we humans never cease thinking about, that we yearn for and dream of, and yet so often find that it escapes us, especially if we try to satisfy our yearnings with things like cars or worldly definitions of success. Religions are clearly a source of profound thinking about the kind of happiness and what it takes for humans to achieve this kind of happiness. And religions are adamant about the fact that real happiness cannot be achieved by looking for shortcuts. For real happiness is a way of being, a way of living that connects us to, enables us to be, if not entirely who we are meant to be, then at least enables us to be on the road to living into who we are meant to be. This is a happiness that comes not from the outside, but the inside. It is quiet, not flashy, and it grows and increases through the practice of it and does not disappear. This is a happiness that is connected to faith, to the certainty that one is meant to be, first of all, in relation of faithfulness and gratefulness to God, to Allah. Through relationship with God, one discovers that true happiness is a product of that relationship and also of the quality of all the relationships with human beings that flows from that relationship. True happiness is an orientation to all of life that is God-centered. Religious happiness, the Christian idea of happiness, the Muslim idea of happiness, often turns worldly ideas of happiness upside down. Happy is not necessarily the person who wins over everyone else and gets the prize, whatever it may be. Rather, happy is being in community together, a community that studies together and worships together and disperses to serve others, and thus to do God's work in the world. Happy is not using one's riches or power to satisfy one's every whim, but happy is using one's resources and privileges in responsible ways that are helpful to others. Happy is not limited to the powerful. Rather, happy is often the humble one who finds in the other the face of God. Christian scripture, like Muslim scripture, gives us a vision of true happiness. In various ways, we are guided towards true happiness by the values and insights we learn through Scripture, the eyes of faith we acquire through reading and understanding Scripture, the piety we practice in our daily lives, and the hope we have for life to come. For people of faith, being blessed by God is a profound way of being happy. The Gospel of Matthew in Christian scripture presents Jesus' description of those who are blessed by God and thus have found what we can call genuine happiness. As you will see, these on the list are not ones our society would easily recognize as blessed. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. I am sure that these ways of being blessed are familiar to you all. How do we, as religious people, benefit from thinking about this theme or other themes together? There are many ways to answer this question. I will suggest that in our different and also very similar overlapping visions of happiness, we can, Christian and Muslim, first of all, learn from each other. The Muslim vision of the faithful life and the happiness on earth and beyond, which comes from living that faithful life, enriches and informs my Christian vision and understanding. Second, we, Muslim and Christian, are religious people who are raising children and trying ourselves to live faithfully in a secular world which often disregards and finds suspect our most precious values and beliefs. This is a world that tempts us and tempts our children as they grow up with many definitions and promises of happiness that we know are illusory. We can and should help each other and those around us, our families, our children, the people in our communities, understand and internalize the knowledge that our faiths give us, that happiness is a yearning and a quest that will only be satisfied if one seeks it in the right places. Third, together as people of faith, we can participate in and contribute to our wider civic communities in multiple ways, motivated by the sense of joy in service that is central to both of our faiths and by many other values common to Islam and Christianity. Finally, I must say that a great and rich source of happiness for me and for so many others involved in building bridges between our religions and has been and is the conversations, the projects, and above all, perhaps, the friendships that are such an important a part of our common interfaith work. This working and being together across our traditions and the joy it brings is certainly what God intends. And here I think about the verse in the Quran that tells us that God made us different so that we may know each other. Another way of saying what I mean to say is that being here with you today, a Christian among Muslims, in our common exploration of this important theme in our religious lives, helps me better understand Islam, helps me grow as a Christian, and makes me very happy. Thank you very much.